Owen, what was your favorite movie as a kid?
RoboCop. No, I don't know. What was my favorite film as a kid? I'd have to think about that. I can't remember. I don't mean this to sound. I'm not trying to sound like an idiot or anything, but I, generally speaking, and I'm sure this is quite telling in some way or other that I'm not willing to go any further into than what I'm about to say, but I don't like remembering my childhood. And it's not because anything bad happened. I just, generally speaking, don't like to relive the way that I was. I'm not interested in like, even though I know that the only way to get to where you are now is a sort of, you know, a crude experience is what makes you who you are at any given time moving forward. Like, you can't have yourself now without all the things that have happened to you. But I just don't like thinking of the things I liked, because I'm ashamed of them, or I don't like them anymore, so I don't want to think about them. So I don't remember it very well because I'm constantly trying to forget it.
Yeah, you're telling us you don't want to say that your favorite movie was like Aladdin or something.
I mean, if you choose to interpret it that way, then that's absolutely fine. I can't confirm or deny it because you know, it could be. And weirdly, actually, so have any of you done this? Any of these online challenges, the Facebook things, where someone says, I was asked to pick 10 albums that were very influential for me, and I have to nominate somebody, and then over the course of 10 days you pick 10 albums or whatever. And in doing that, you know, it's supposed to be things from your youth that were that would have inspired your taste or whatever. Right. And a lot of it is still like, I mean, I challenged Heather to it on the first day, and we do have like relatively similar tastes, and a lot of the albums that I've picked, but there's definitely albums that I'm not putting in there, and no one will ever know about, you know.
Well, that's why it's only 10.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can cut out all the other stuff.
You can edit it.
You can approach it in a lot of different ways.
Yes, you can. You can word it to you know, your kind of like your preference, I guess. But you know, that's like a simple, stupid, meaningless thing that you do online. It's not really, it doesn't mean anything. But even that, I will try and cut out what I'm not proud of liking when I was like 14. You know,
built up an image and a reputation.
I can't afford to have any crack in that.
Yeah, you definitely
pristine.
Can't afford it. That's true.
What a dick.
I feel like if I tell people what I really liked when I was a kid, everyone would be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like the first movie I remember seeing in the movie theater, and I'm sure I saw one before this, was the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes. Oh, I remember that.
Like you can look at that and be like, yeah, that makes sense for Kalan.
I mean, what's changed?
Exactly. I mean,
nothing.
Has your taste developed at all? You know, no, I remember.
Some would say no.
Wow.
I remember going to see that. I remember going to see. I remember my sister made me cry because she told me that I wasn't old enough to go and watch Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. It was called Hero Turtles in England.
I was ready to jump in.
Actually, the film may have been called Ninja Turtles, but the TV show was definitely Hero Turtles because Ninja was too aggressive. But anyway, she told me I wasn't old enough to go and see it, and it made me cry. And then she had to say, "Look, I was only joking. I'm sorry. It's a kids' film. Of course, you can go and watch it."
She sounds like she was right.
Yeah.
I think. Oh,
sorry. No.
I think, like, I mean, here's the thing, is when you're a kid, you generally don't have, like, a critical approach to films or music or whatever. Like, it's basically whatever you are introduced to, you know, I mean, there are some exceptions, but generally you just, like what you know. So I think it's interesting to go back and try to remember the first time you had a critical response. Like maybe that's a more interesting question, because I really remember specifically like the first 2 times I went to a movie in the theater and thought, this is terrible.
Right.
And what's that?
I just said right, like that's an interesting idea, like an interesting exercise.
Yeah, like the first time, okay, I don't remember which order these movies came out in, but the 2 that I remember specifically was the movie Cop and a Half, which I think is that a Burt Reynolds movie?
Is that Burt Reynolds or Tom Selleck? It's one
might
of those
be Tom
two.
Selleck.
I think it's Tom Selleck.
But
Yeah.
it's like a 6-year-old kid, and like a cop. It's like a buddy cop movie or something.
Yep.
I remember like I guess my dad took me to see it or something. I remember thinking, this is not a good movie. And then the second time, or the first time, but I think it was the second time, was the movie Jack, which is the Robin Williams movie directed by Francis
Ford Coppola, yeah.
But I remember going, I don't really need to see the end of this.
Right.
Like, I don't really.
Okay.
So I don't know. Anyway, I think that's interesting, but maybe not everyone can remember.
I don't remember
really.
a lot of the sort of the very first films that I probably had that feeling towards, but I definitely remember there was a point where a lot of what I was going to see, I just didn't have the same kind of like mindless enjoyment for it. Whereas, when you first go to the cinema with your parents or whatever, it's exciting. Just going to the cinema is exciting, getting a hot dog, getting popcorn. So it almost doesn't matter what you're watching, to be honest. It's just the experience of going in there, the dark room, the thing.
You still love getting a hot dog when you go to the cinema.
Huh?
You still love getting a hot dog when you go to the cinema.
2 hot dogs, Nick.
Yeah,
Two hot dogs.
I know.
But I certainly remember. I mean, if I was to think real hard about it, I'm sure I could remember a few. But films like The Avengers, the film with Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman. It's Ralph.
It's Rafe.
I thought it was Rafe.
It is
Ralph.
No, he's lying to you.
Is it
Rafe.
Colin or Colin?
I'm being
It's
hypnotized.
Colin. it's
and Elizabeth Hurley, right?
Elizabeth Hurley.
The other one?
I thought it was Uma Thurman.
Wait, what's the Rafe Fiennes
Oh,
film? I wasn't listening.
The Avengers.
The Avengers.
I'm
Ray
mixing it up
Fiennes in
with
The Avengers?
Austin Powers.
Not the Marvel Avengers.
No.
This is like
It's like
the
a
British
90s Avengers.
like the
Oh.
bowler cap and cane.
I wasn't born.
And
sorry.
umbrellas
It
that
was,
shoot things. and stuff.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I wasn't born.
Quiet.
It was based on a TV show from the 60s or the 70s from England, and it was horrible. And I think that was one of the certainly on that occasion I remember and Godzilla as well was another one.
Godzilla 2000?
The one with Matthew Broderick.
Broderick.
Yeah, that's 2000.
I remember 2000. No,
Yeah.
Is it 2000?
it's not
I thought it was
2000.
98.
No,
Right, sorry, there's
I
a
wasn't
movie
born.
called
I don't know.
Godzilla 2000.
Yeah, there's been a few, but I remember coming out of those films thinking that was massively underwhelming. Not quite having a critical mind yet, but
Even with
certainly.
the Rage Against the Machine song?
You mean
The
what?
soundtrack was great to that. I love the soundtrack to that movie.
Didn't
New Metal?
Puff Daddy had a soundtrack, had a single
Yes.
out, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was a remix of Kashmir.
Yeah.
And the
By Led Zeppelin?
Wallflowers had a cover on there too, didn't they?
Dreadful stuff.
Remember.
The-
This might be a rote one, but I feel like I was born right in this dead space of Star Wars. And so, like, everyone my whole childhood had been telling me how amazing Star Wars was and, like, trying to hype everybody up about how amazing Star Wars is. And then, of course, so opening day, we go see The Phantom Menace. And I come out of that, and I don't remember how old I am, but I was a teenager, and I'm like, this is garbage. This is what everybody loves and is obsessed with and bases their whole life around. Like, what the hell?
Wait,
Yeah.
so you hadn't seen the other Star Wars before then?
I must have. We had them on VHS, but I don't remember being blown away by them. And to be fair, like, I guess I watched a lot more Star Trek when I was a teenager and a kid than I did Star Wars. So I don't know if it's like I had my dumb space opera already. So
So please cut this out if I've told this story before, but like my brother and I, like my brother was more into Star Wars than I was, and we were both into Star Trek as well. But he was like we were both, I think we were probably both skeptical of the Phantom Menace, but we also had gotten each other really hyped up about it. And I remember watching the trailer on the internet when like a video file on the internet was like this tiny little thing.
Yeah.
And then I was the opening night in Newfoundland, which is where I lived at the time. It was like that midnight screening on the opening day, and Newfoundland has its own time zone. So it was like a very big deal to us that it was actually like the first public screening in North America that we were going to. And I just remember sitting in the theater. And I had been in Quebec City that day. So I got off a plane at like 10 at night and then like rushed to get in line for the screening. And then we were sitting next to each other in like the front row, looking at each other in pain. So, like every time Jar Jar Binks spoke, it was.
So I'm slightly younger. So I remember being taken out of school. My parents were like, okay, the Phantom Menace is coming out. You can like miss school, and obviously, you know, he was there. Anyways, we went, and I was like young enough that I didn't see. I still was at the point where I was like, oh, this is new, this is cool. Pod racing, Darth Maul. I was like, that's pretty cool. So I was not old enough to critically, like, obviously now it's terrible, but at the time I wasn't good, like with it enough to really say, oh, I don't like this. But I was like, oh, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But on that note, yesterday was Star Wars Day.
May the 4th be with you.
And we watched The Empire Strikes Back, which obviously everyone here has seen a lot, but it just was surprised again at how good it is, because the other Star Wars movies, I would say, don't even the best other Star Wars movies don't even come close to The Empire Strikes Back.
I would like to just... Lucy, have you seen The Empire Strikes Back a lot? Because I feel like when you said that,
and I was like, have I seen that?
I just wanted to clarify because
everyone in my house,
okay.
Not everyone on this.
I've seen it once. I think I know what happens.
You've seen, it's because it's
which one is that?
That's the one where he is his father.
Like the first one.
Yeah, I was gonna do a bit like that, where like, and then I was like, is that even the right movie? I'm not confident that it is.
It's the second one. It starts out on the snowy planet Hoth, and then Luke spends some time with Yoda and gets trained.
Is there like a weird like two-legged dino thing that like crushes him and then he's in like a cave?
Yes.
Well,
like at the beginning?
Maybe.
You're kind of getting the details a little mixed up, but basically, he gets kidnapped by this like monster creature, and then Han Solo has to save him by like cutting open his not pet, but like the animal that he's riding, the Tauntaun, and like stuffing him inside because it's so cold outside.
Yeah. Which I saw Bear Grylls do once, not with a Tauntaun, but with a maybe it was a buffalo or something like that. Anyway, he did that. Disgusting.
But I was just
no. that wasn't going anywhere.
Just like obviously the first Star Wars was this huge hit, and they must have known by the time they made The Empire Strikes Back that it was going to be a trilogy. But I don't know if any sequel had like ended on such a like cliffhanger dark note. Before that, like I was trying to think of another example of a movie that was so confident that the next movie was coming around that they could just leave everything unresolved at that point.
Yeah, actually, my friend Matt, who is hopefully providing music for me to make another stop motion film for, and whose music is on the opening of this very podcast and throughout the show, he posted a thing yesterday about his great sequels. So he just watched The Raid 2 Redemption, which is amazing if you like those kinds of films. He was asking a sort of very general question. Think of a good sequel, an example where the sequel is better than the original. And I thought of immediately Empire Strikes Back because I don't really like Star Wars very much. I find the whole ending of it very annoying. I don't like because the first film does end. That's the difference between the two, is that the second one is sort of there because the first one was a success. But the second one is also, sorry, that's just Nick telling us he's going to the bathroom. So the second one leads into the third, so you know that there's something else coming. But the first one with the whole wedding thing is like, if it wasn't a success, they would. What is it? I don't know what it is.
It's an award ceremony.
That's right. Oh, they're related, aren't they? I don't know what it is.
You don't know they're related yet.
They are wearing a lot of white, so that's fair.
Han is getting married to Chewie.
I'm sure I'm remembering it correctly.
Fun sequel fact, and speaking of Irv Kershner, the director of Empire Strikes Back, do you know another sequel that he directed that
I was going to look him up last night and then I forgot.
RoboCop 2, baby.
Which is great. And has my favorite unaffiliated brainstem shot in movie history. Oh, you posted that. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. That was one of the reasons I was almost not allowed to watch it, because it had a really graphic shot of a brainstem with really angry eyes. It's
Yeah,
like
oh, really?
it's like
Almost like it has eyebrows.
the brain has eyebrows. It's very difficult to describe. You know what? I'm just going to put a picture right here of this. It's gross, but yeah, it's awesome. That's Kane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Kane who becomes RoboCop 2. Literally, there's a robot in RoboCop 2 called RoboCop 2 that RoboCop 1 eventually has to fight against. It's very on the nose.
That's right.
That's good writing.
Yeah, right.
It's fantastic
Well,
writing,
who would have thought?
and it's even better stop motion as well.
It's pretty great.
It is.
I really
it is.
enjoy RoboCop 2. I mean, I don't know that it's Empire good, but it's very enjoyable to watch. And the direction, honestly, is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've almost certainly seen Empire Strikes Back more, but not necessarily because I wanted to. It's just that Empire Strikes Back is like hearing a really annoying pop song, you know, or actually anything to do with Star Wars is like that. But you go into a mall and you just sort of absorb it because it just comes at you from people, you know, and shops. That's what Star Wars is like, and the Beatles. Yeah. Anyway, anyone think of any? Obviously, Bridget Jones 2, Edge of Reason. Far superior.
I kind of have one. It's like they're pretty close, but I think the Godfather 2 just edges it out a little bit, or at least in unison with the first film, really creates a much richer story, I think.
Yeah, I think narratively it's a more interesting film, like in terms of how it unravels the story, jumping back between different time periods and things, and managing to keep it really nicely together. Actually, it doesn't lose any momentum all the way through.
Yeah.
And of course, seeing young De
On a
Niro.
similar level, Ocean's 12. Way better than Ocean's 11.
You don't mean that, do you?
There's one more guy in it, right?
It's a lady, I believe, isn't it?
I don't even. Is there even? Yeah.
You don't even know.
You're just saying it. You don't mean it.
I just watched it last week and I was like, wow, this is some good stuff.
It's not about how
Are you
many
go-
people are in it. It's how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Are you going through Soderbergh's like filmography, or was what motivated you to watch it?
It was like midnight and I wasn't really tired yet, so I was like,
Yep.
what's on Netflix?
Yeah.
Ocean's 12.
That's exactly how it happens.
I just watched Ghostbusters 2.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Not
That's so much
great.
goo.
Yeah, a lot
in it.
of slime. Pink slime. Somebody in that thread that I was talking about posted Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Secret of the
Secret of the
Ooze.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
With Vanilla Ice?
Yeah.
Sure.
Ninja Rap.
Is it Ninja Rap? Is he that? Oh.
Yeah, no, that's the song in Secret of the Ooze that Vanilla Ice did. It's called Ninja Rap.
Oh wow.
I have all 3 of the Ninja Turtles movies up on the top of the shelf. That you can
Nice.
see.
Okay. So I like.
I actually like the third one. The third one where they go back in time.
To Japan,
bad.
right?
I've not seen that one.
I like that one. That one's fun.
Yeah.
That sounds like a thing to do. You know what I watched, which there are many sequels of, is Mission Impossible. And
The
I
second
know.
one is not
the
better
worst.
than the first one. in some ways it is, but in some ways it's really not.
I know you're a big fan, Nick.
I do like them.
So-
I like the newest ones the best.
Time to go on record, Nick. How many times did you jump off that thing?
I think it was like 103 or something. Oh my god, did you hear that they want to make one in space with Elon Musk?
Yikes.
No, I did not hear that. That's a shame. I don't. I know that you're a fan, so I'm not.
But soundtrack-wise, isn't 2 the one with that Limp Bizkit song while he jumps off the motorcycles and the doves
I thought that was 3.
all fly? Is that 3?
I don't know.
I thought 2 had the Limp Bizkit song, and then they tried to get like, I guess more prestigious again because Philip Seymour Hoffman was in the third one.
Oh,
I
he
don't
was.
remember the Limp Bizkit song, but that definitely happens in the second movie.
I think
Yeah.
the kind of the abiding theme of this topic is that they're all completely interchangeable, as they are all equally rubbish.
Except the second one's the one where he has long hair, right?
That's right.
That's
yeah.
long-haired Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's also got Doogery Scott.
Long Cruise. When he was in, his sort of what was that samurai film? Is it The Last Samurai?
Last Samurai.
Yes, and he has lots of slow motion shots of him with sort of mid-length hair.
Bad Boys 2, I like better than Bad
Yeah,
Boys.
that's actually a good one.
We watched that the other day because we were getting prepped for Bad Boys for Life, which we totally went to go and see. That's the one where Martin Lawrence ends up taking drugs or something?
Yes, that's the second
And
one.
he takes them accidentally, so he's just reacting to what happens when you take a lot of ecstasy. Yeah,
That's the one.
I laughed to the point of nearly peeing myself. Actually, it's so fun in a juvenile way, but it is actually quite a lot of fun and stupid. The new one is awful. I hated it. Yeah.
It's like weirdly, it's not good.
No.
Really bad.
It's like somebody saw the first two, had no kind of like relationship with any of the production or involvement with the, anyone in it at all, and just like, well, they seem to do this a lot, so they wrote that bit down, and then they just stapled it all together, and it's just a big old mess. So, Bad Boys
What's
for
the
Life.
last Will Smith movie that was good?
That's an excellent question, and I can't tell you.
Gemini Man.
Gemini Man.
Suicide Squad.
What was the last Will Smith film that was any good? Men in Black.
No idea.
Gemini Man.
And I'm like,
So
three.
Will really.
Men in Black.
Yeah.
Silly me. You're right.
Will really likes Gemini Man. He's not joking around here.
No.
Well, mate, Gemini Man's great stuff. I'm actually looking up Will Smith's filmography right now.
Okay. Yeah. Fair
I feel
enough.
like it's better if we just do it off of the top of our heads.
I mean, it's definitely Gemini Man. Like, I don't know what to say.
All right.
Or
Was that M. Night? Was that Shyamalan?
nah, it was Ang Lee.
Wild Wild West was also an early movie I went to and was like, this isn't very good. But
Yes.
I still think it's kind of enjoyable because of all the like steampunky stuff. But I just know as I was watching it being like, I wouldn't give this like a high rating.
I loved that movie, and we had like, there was a period where we only had a few VHSs, and that was one of like, I don't even think 5 VHS tapes, and we watched it again and again, and it was like news to me that it's bad. And then I watched the trailer, and I was like, oh no, did I watch
cinema.
this movie? Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
classic
Yeah.
piece of cinema.
Oh,
I know,
actually,
I really genuinely thought that was so good, and I watched it so many times.
I love it. I love it too.
Mm.
I loved it. I haven't.
But you're absolutely right though. That's pretty much my kind of like viewing digest. Certainly up until a certain age was like, these are the ones that we have, so these are the ones that you watch, and you don't really have like
And
you
like
don't.
a lot of stuff happens in it, you're like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Eventually,
Speaking of that,
Yeah.
the best sequel, which was a childhood classic, is Air Bud World Pup.
Oh shit.
One of the greatest films of all time.
What
Okay.
sport
10
is
out of
that?
10 stuff. I
Basketball.
think it's soccer.
Oh, is it?
Oh, okay.
I thought.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
World Pup, like World Cup.
World Pup.
Oh, World
yeah.
Pup. Sorry, I didn't quite hear
Yeah.
what you said. That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, I feel like I was lucky. My dad had this copy of Crybaby in the house, so I would watch that a lot.
Wow, that's highbrow.
Okay. Is it? I don't know if you would call John Waters highbrow or like
For
classy
a
lowbrow.
I don't know if John Waters ever really achieved the level of filth and trash that was probably at some point intended for me. I always felt like he was better than other filmmakers because of his understanding of why he was doing it. It immediately makes him more knowing and more accomplished because he's making it with a degree of intelligence. I know he's not going for that, but yeah.
Do you guys hear this sound in my backyard? There's like a buzzing sound.
It's probably one of those murder hornets.
Oh no.
Some kind of construction. I'm just worried that it's like messing everything up.
No. I
can't hear, it's fine.
can't hear a thing. Well, for the purposes of recording and keeping things, tidy and neat, I think that is where I will.
My VHS I watched a lot when I was a kid was The Big Green.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What's
That's
the big?
also a soccer movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big Green is about like a team of like it's basically the Sandlot for soccer,
Yeah.
Wow, I've not seen that.
and like it's you don't watch it. It's like a bunch of misfit kids get together and get a soccer team, and like the bullies are gonna beat them, and then they win, and you're like, oh,
All right, okay.
they have a goat
We,
on there. Yeah.
My mom used to record the TV onto VHS, right? And then
Yeah.
we just had a ton of those around. And I think she inadvertently created what must be the worst VHS double feature ever. And it's the 80s version of Little Lord Fauntleroy with Alec Guinness and Mr. Boogedy, which was a Disney Channel movie.
I used to have a lot of those really sort of randomly, paired films on extended play VHSs. Like, I forget what was it was probably like something like Face Off with Basic Instinct, which are
That's a good one,
two very different vibes though. After watching one, you're not really usually in the mood for the other. I also recorded Basic Instinct. I was visiting somebody else on that weekend, so I set the timer on my video machine, and then I think the power went out or something, so it reset itself, so it wasn't going to. So I had to call my mum and say, "Can you click record at 9 o'clock on? Make sure it's on Channel 4." And she was like, "Okay, what am I recording?" And I said what it was, but didn't think that she would have the sort of wherewithal to check what I meant by that, like to look in the TV guide and be like, Basic Instinct. Bless her, she recorded it for me, so I did have my very own copy I could just wear out, which is great. I like Basic Instinct, by the way. It's a good film.
It's a fun erotic thriller.
It's
from
great.
The 90s.
It's
I
great.
need to see it again.
It's
You.
it's of its time. I think no, it is. It's good. It's good. How can you
I just
talk? You like Mission Impossible?
I associate it now with that like Montreal killer, but the documentary on Netflix is called Don't Fuck with Cats because he started by making videos of himself torturing and killing kittens and then releasing them, and then like animal rights people on the internet started trying to find him before he'd even murdered a person, and they were like trying to alert authorities. They were like using all of this like background information in his videos to figure out who he was and where he was. And they actually they figured out he was because at the time he was making them, he was in Toronto. And so they figured out he was in Toronto, and they actually found out where he lived. And then at that point he had already moved to Montreal. But
wow.
Anyway, he was like really obsessed with like American Psycho and Basic Instinct. And like he even like kind of emulates scenes from them in his videos.
Right.
And like the most insane thing in this like documentary series is when they interview his mother, who believes that this is all, he's been framed, and that like this is all a big misunderstanding. And he gave her a Basic Instinct keychain that she has her keys on.
Weird.
Yeah, but like
Wow.
if he hadn't been caught, he would have definitely been like a famous serial killer, but we caught him. So
We got him. Good job, Canada. So I'm going to stop it right there, and then I'll edit it down. But for the purposes of recording, thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time again with me this afternoon. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Will. And Kalan. Thanks.